When you go to the southeast of Florida, it's culturally like the northeast because of I-95. But Miami-Dade, the largest county in the far southeast, is basically the capital of Latin America. On the southwest coast is essentially culturally like the Midwest because of I-75. And then you have this area called the I-4 corridor, which swings from Tampa through Orlando and over east into Daytona Beach, which is basically the swing area of the swing state. It's kind of like everywhere USA. So you have all of these different constituencies, and then you have
Так, надо работу же, искать надо работу, искать переобучения. Переобучение надо. То, что правильно, это переобучение. А работаешь, работа, это тоже правильно, но тебе не дадут просто. Ну, слова. Ну, я не знаю.
North Florida, which is the farther north you go, the deeper south you are. Now in Florida, we also have a body-day ballot, and you can't compare 2016 to 2020 exactly because Republicans listening to the president who's kind of demonized mail-in voting are not casting their ballots and saying they want to vote in person, but it's still a really, really big deal that Democrats are turning in absentee ballots at such a high rate. 841,000 Democrats have already voted. It's like 8 times what they did at this point in 2016. That compares to 483,000 Republicans. So the Democrats are really voting in big numbers. Now, when the in-person early voting period begins later in the month, we'll start to see if Republicans are going to catch up and they're just going to show up that way. Just one last point, in 2016, Hillary Clinton actually went into Election Day with a 247,000 vote lead. The Republicans showed in such force that she wound up losing the state by 113,000. So we've seen this play before a little, but we just haven't seen Democrats pour it on the way they're pouring it on now.
Pouring it on at the moment, and let's in Arizona, is the early voting and is it similar? Is that what you're seeing?
That's what we're seeing. I mean, we've only just begun. I don't think we have a good enough sense of what the trend lines are going to be, but we do expect Democratic surges across the state, even outside of Maricopa County. So we'll be watching those closely and reporting on them on the Arizona Republic.
Yvonne and Mark, grateful for your help from the Battleground States
Thank you.
Sunday. It's hard to understand a campaign
so much.
here in Washington. Thank you.
Welcome back. The panel is with us. NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Hallie Jackson. Hugh Hewitt, host on the Salem Radio Network. Maria Teresa Kumar, president of Voto Latino. And Jake Sherman, senior writer for Politico. Look, I want to set up the conversation with Peggy Noonan and what she wrote. It was a very elegant way of trying to write about the current state of politics. No one will talk about it in public because they're not idiots. Journalists don't want to be embarrassed if they've got it wrong. Democrats don't want to encourage complacency. Republicans don't want to demoralize the troops, and the networks have to keep everyone hopped up on the horse race. I will take a small offense to the last part of that comment, but Jake Sherman is this the thing that everybody's whispering about on Capitol Hill and around Washington as far as you're concerned? Despite what President Trump claimed on Friday, there is no cure, nor is there a vaccine for the coronavirus, at least not yet. But when a vaccine becomes available, Bill Gates will be ready. The Gates Foundation has committed some $350 million to support the global response to COVID-19. Much of that money is being spent to purchase and distribute a vaccine to low and middle income countries around the world. And Bill Gates joins me now from Seattle. Mr. Gates, welcome to Meet the Press, sir.
Thank you.
I want to start with those comments from the president about the treatment he received, because these monoclonal antibodies, he has called this cocktail that he got, this experimental cocktail he got, he has called it a cure. Now, this is something you've been talking about, too, as well, and I think the foundation has supported research on this. Could this become the leading therapeutic for the coronavirus as we go forward?
Yeah, the word cure is inappropriate because it won't work for everyone. But yes, of all the therapeutics, this is the most promising. And so we've been working with the companies doing antibodies. We reserved factory capacity all the way back in the spring. And now we're partnered with Eli Lilly, who with Regeneron has been the fastest to get these antibodies ready. They could reduce the death rate quite a bit. So far, we only have dexamethasone, which we funded a UK trial that helped with that. And so adding this to the tools would be a great thing.
What's realistic about getting access to this for hundreds of thousands of people that may need it? Right now, the president is the president, so he's got access to this experimental treatment. How quickly could this be distributed around the country?
Well, very, very few people have had it because it's not approved, and the manufacturing is just ramping up. Now, the pharmaceutical companies are working with each other, sharing capacity, very focused on this. It's a very impressive story, just like on the vaccine side. A little bit, you don't want politicians saying something should be approved because it's wrong to think of political pressure as needing to be or appropriate in these cases. I hope the FDA, can take the data, which is looking quite good, and get these out, in the next few months, because we have so little to save lives, and we're going back up to record levels of deaths here in the fall.
In fact, I'm curious. I mean, do you think that in some ways finding therapeutics might end up being as important, if not more so, than this vaccine? Because we're not even sure how good the vaccines are going to be and how long it will take.
Well, for the next 6 months, if the monoclonal antibodies get approved, they will save more lives than the vaccine will, particularly if we can give it in low doses. The president got 8 grams, and we're trialing things that are down at more like 0.7 grams and 0.3 grams. And of course, that changes the cost and capacity a lot, but that's also unproven at this point, but it's important that we explore. In the long